Hello dear students, so now today we would move ahead in this first chapter of class 10 geography, that is resources and development. We were discussing about the types of soil. So today one more type of soil we have, that is the forest soil. And this forest soil, we can see this forest soil in the areas in the mountainous or the hilly areas, where in the upper side you would have the coarse soil, COARSE, core soil. And in the valleys here, downside here in the valleys, there you have the loam. There you would have the loam and silt deposits in the soil. I mean the soil would be finer here, okay, and the soil would be coarse here in the upper areas. Coarse means would be having some bigger particles, and the soil would be having the smaller particles. Means the soil would have some loam and the silt here in the valley areas. Then again in the further, again in the some further valleys here, you would have the alluvial soil, which is most fertile is in nature, alluvial soil. So you would have alluvial soil in the further valleys there, okay. So let's say this is the mountain. So at the top you would have the coarse soil, means the soil would be having some bigger particles. Then in the valleys here downside, you would have the loam and silt in the soil, means the soil would become now finer soil. And then again in the further valleys, you would have there the alluvial soil, which is most fertile in nature, okay. So this is how we can divide the soil, the forest soil in the hilly areas here, okay. So and in the areas covered with snow and snow, the soil is acidic with low humus. So where there is snow in the hilly areas, so the soil is acidic there with low humus, means the soil would be having lower amount of organic matter, okay. So soil would be acidic also, and would be lower in humus there, okay. And the fourth one, and in the further valleys you would have the alluvial soil. So this is what you have to write about the forest soil. Just note it down. Now the next topic that we are going to discuss is the soil erosion. Soil erosion means moving away of the soil with the natural forces such as wind and water. So this is known as the soil erosion, okay. See, there are various activities that promote the soil erosion. So first one is the deforestation. Deforestation means cutting of the trees. If you are cutting the trees, let's say this is the tree, and the root of the tree, these the roots of the trees are binding the soil here, okay. But if you are cutting the trees, so the roots would not be able to bind the soil, and so this soil would be eroded then. Are you getting this? So deforestation is the main cause for the soil erosion here. Then the next cause is the overgrazing. Also overgrazing also leads to the soil erosion. Next is construction and mining activities, also a very important cause for the soil erosion. Next is the gully erosion. Gully erosion means washing away of more amount of soil with the running water. Suppose the water is running, and if more amount of soil is washing from here, running away from here, so this erosion of the soil is known as the gully erosion. This is a type of soil erosion. So we have basically two type of soil erosion here. The first one is the gully erosion, second one is the sheet erosion. Sheet erosion means washing of the top layer of the soil. If the top layer of the soil, this is the soil, if the top layer of the soil is washing away with the running water, so this one erosion is known as the sheet erosion. If more amount of soil is being washed away by the running water, so this one erosion would be known as the gully erosion. So these are again the running water is again very important cause for the soil erosion here. Next one is the bedland areas. Areas means you have some areas like in Chambal there, okay. So these bedland areas, some areas are there. So these bedland areas are unfit for the cultivation. You cannot cultivate anything there. So creation of more and more bedland areas would again promote the soil erosion there. Are you getting it or not? So this is all about the soil erosion here. Now in the next topic we would be discussing about how to conserve the soil, okay. So just note it down. So the next topic that we are going to study is soil conservation, because we have already read about the soil erosion. So now how to conserve the soil. So first one is we conserve the soil by creating the shelter beds. We already discussed about the shelter beds. Let's say we are planting the trees in a big trees in a row like this. So these big trees would act as the windbreaker. So suppose from here you have the fast wind that is blowing. So these trees would act as the windbreaker, so that this wind could not erode the soil which is here, okay, because the soil can be eroded by the fast wind also. So if you have the bigger trees here which have been planted, so these trees would act as the windbreaker. So these trees are known as the shelter bed. So if you are creating these shelter beds here, so these shelter beds would act as the windbreaker, so that the soil could not be eroded. Are you getting it? Are you getting it or not? Yes. So this is how we can prevent the soil erosion. Okay. Second is people's management activities. Of course, we are doing some activities to promote the soil conservation. So it's good enough. Suppose the two classic examples we have, like their Sukho Manjari village and the Jhabua village. So these are the two classic examples where the people worked towards promoting soil conservation. Okay. So if you are doing such activities, so it is good enough. So the third one is strip cultivation. Suppose you have the large field. Suppose you have the very large field like this. Okay. So if you want to prevent the soil erosion from this one large field, so you would make the strips on this field like this. If you are making the strips in this field, so these strips also, by creating the strip cultivation, if you have such strips there in the larger field, so this also would prevent the soil erosion. Okay. This also would conserve the soil. So by the strip cultivation, so this could be done in the large field where we have the large field. So if we can have the strip cultivation there. Similarly, we have the terrace cultivation, which you can see in the mountainous region, like in the western and the central Himalayan region. The terrace cultivation means creating the steps like this. Cultivation in like this. So here you would have the fields. Here you would have the fields. Means in the steps you are having the fields here. Okay. So if you are having the fields like that in the steps, so this cultivation is known as the terrace cultivation. So this cultivation also promote the soil conservation. Okay. The next thing is what? The next thing is the contour ploughing. Contour ploughing means this is the contour. Contour ploughing, suppose you have a piece of land, and around the piece of land you are creating a contour like this. And then you have another contour like this. Suppose you have the large land here, and you are creating the contours on this one land. So by this process also, 1 degree, 100 degree, 200 degree contours we are creating, and with the help of these contours would prevent the soil to be washed away with the running water. Okay. So we are just making these contours. Okay. So this contour ploughing is also beneficial for the soil conservation. So this is how we can conserve the soil here. Okay. So that is all in this chapter. Now from the next lecture we will be starting the next chapter. Okay. See you in the next lecture. Then till then, stay tuned and keep watching. Thank you. Have a good day.